Oh, sorry, how did I flip it? How did I flip the thing?
Oh wait, you're already on.
Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna actually take the coordinates. So we're gonna graph the sine functions. So what happened is we're gonna graph sine functions. Okay, so we're gonna use some separate sheet of paper, and what we're gonna do is gonna get some coordinates, and we're gonna try to get as many as possible. So we're gonna get a theta and a y. So here's a function, y equal to sine theta. Yes. So on a separate sheet of paper, I want you to do this.
We did this yesterday.
Oh, we did it yesterday?
We can do it again. We can do it again.
Okay, let's do it again because just to recall all the value. So can somebody help me? If you got a sheet of paper, you can tell me what is the theta of 0? What is sine of 0?
0.
0. How about next one is pi over 6? Half. Half is roughly 0.5, right? How about next one? Pi over 4. What's pi over 4? So what's roughly the number is?
0.707.
0.707, because square root of 2 is roughly 1.414, and that's going to be 0.717. So don't graph on anything on that yet, because we're going to use those values. So 0, pi over 6, pi over 4, and the next one's going to be pi over 3. What's pi over 3? Square root of 3 over 2, roughly 0.806. And we're going to go with the pi over 2, which is going to give me what? 1?
1, yeah.
And we're going to give you 2 pi over 3. So 2 pi over 3 is going to give me what? Square root of 3 over 2, thank you, which is 0.806. And then the next one is going to be 3 pi over 4. What is 3 pi over 4? Square root of 2 over 2, thank you. And that's equal to what? 0.707, and we're going to be 5 pi over 6. 5 pi over 6 is going to be 1 over 2, which is 0.5, and pi is going to give you 1. Are we okay here? So we're going to do the second one here. We're going to do the second half. Will be theta, y, and we're going to go with 7 pi over 6. What do you get 7 pi over 6? Negative half, good. And how about 5 pi over 4?
Pi is 1.
Negative square root of 2 over 2?
Yeah.
Pi is 0.
Oh, this one's going to be 0, so thank you. Good job, Andres.
Oh.
So that's equal to 0.5. This one's equal to negative 0.707. How about, what's the next one? 4 pi over 3? Negative square root of 3 over 2. Good. So that's equal to what? Negative 0.806. And 3 pi over 2, what's 3 pi over 2? Sine of 3 pi over 2? What is it? No. What is sine of 3 pi over 2? Think about it on the bottom. Negative 1, thank you. So it's negative 1 here. And 5 pi over 3? Sine of 5 pi over 3? Radical 3 over 2, good. Because that's the size 3, which is tall. That's a negative 0.806. And then 5 pi over 4, 5 pi over 3, and then what's the next one? Over 3 over 4. So that's going to be 7 pi over 4. That's going to be square root of 2 over 2. Negative, that's equal to negative 0.707. And 11 pi over 6 is going to give you 1/2. That's 0.5. And then 2 pi, that's going to give you 0. So that's pretty much it's going to graph. Can you see how the graph is like?
Yeah.
Graph is going to be like what? The wave, right? So what we're going to do today is actually using that. But remember, the table I'm going to give it to you is like this. So it has the 4 spaces, 1, 2, 3, 4. I want to use all 4 spaces, so the first one here on the top, we're going to put 1. And here it's going to be 0.5, 0.75, 0.25, and 0. And on the bottom, it's going to be negative 0.25, and negative 0.5, negative 0.75, and negative negative 1. So here you will get something like a pi and 2 pi and go on further. And here it's going to be pi over 2, 3 pi over 2, and there's some value underneath. So what we're going to do is I want you to use all those coordinates and start plugging the graph for the sine. So for the cosine, however, I don't want for the cosine, I don't want you to use all the points. But the sine, I want you to use all the points. Okay? So once you graph it, you're going to have some type of wave. You can tell me where's the peak, where's the trough, where's everything. But the cosine, however, I want you to use only phi x values. Those phi x values are located in quarter periods. So here is the value you want to use for cosine, which is the special value here, which is right here for cosine. So right now, sine, you're going to use every single value, at least you see everything. So for cosine, I want you to use this part, and this part, and this part, and this part, and this part. Sine is, so y is equal to sine theta right here. So once you graph it, it's going to form a nice graph. So I'll give you a few minutes to work it out.
You also got it on the page.
Huh?
You also got it on the page.
Yes, on the first page. On the top, on the first one.
You also got for sine.
Yeah, sine. Sine using our coordinate though. It's going to form a really nice wavy line. It's going to be smooth. It's not going to be a straight line. A lot of people graph it like a straight line, which is bad because the sine wave is not a straight line. Actually, there was one that's straight line. It's a very interesting graph, but I don't think as you will be interested in that part. It's actually, I think, sine inverse of sine. It's going to be a sine inverse of sine, or sine inverse. Either the other one, it's going to be a straight line. But it's, right now it's not a straight line. 99 is just a smooth wave. Can I pause on live stream or no?
No, you can't.
I can.
Okay.
That's pretty cool.
If they can pause on live stream, then Brendan, get to work.
I mean, they could just fast forward.
So, fast forward this part.
Well, hold on, we're not in it, we'll fix that in it. It's on the-
Fast forward this part. We are just working.
Add an effect. Work.
Brendan, how about get to work? Come on. You guys just stand still. Yeah, the first sheet of paper, this paper.
Oh, that one?
Yeah.
You don't have to copy down, you can use mine.
It's a single sheet of paper.
So much
You want like one being all the way at the top? And then-
Yeah, one all the way on the top. Guys, each space, I'm gonna use the quarter point, 0.25, 0.5, 0.75. The one on the top is gonna be 1. So that way you know what a graph's gonna be like. Because I want you to actually graphing an actual grid.
You want this top part to be one, so.
Oh, the top part is one.
Yes, you guys pay attention. The top part is gonna be 1.
0.7.
Oh, yeah, I get that.
Good. So 0.
Don't, let's just start straight on the Seven.
Don't be lazy, use all the points. Right now, sine graph, I want you to use all the points. But you can graph the major one in there first. Okay, so some people want to graph the major one in here to give you that. That'll be fine. If you graph a major one, you see the whole graph is gonna do, and you can put in all the small dots in between.
Oh, we're going to do 22.
Huh?
Yeah, so sine graph, I want you to graph everything. The number you can go with 0, pi over 2, pi, and 3 pi over 2, and 2 pi. So those are called the quarter periods. We're going to talk about what are those quarter periods.
So I was like, what is it?
25, 5, and 75?
I don't have to do that, but when we get to like the,
Mister, I have a
like the
question.
radical
Okay.
three or.
So I know we're gonna have a quiz on this or test or whatever. So does that mean that like when we're graphing, we can like make the x-axis as pi? Is it gonna be like pi over 6?
I will give you graphing grids.
Okay, and it's gonna be like this?
Yes.
Okay.
So I won't give you something that's not fair. Not something.
Have you taken the SAT, right?
You get some yourself.
I think I'm gonna take
right Chinese.
this time.
See like what
I
you
needed
get.
to apply for UF.
Look, nobody checks the censorship.
I mean, they don't offer doing one with you.
Oh, yeah. There's 1,000 forms.
Online.
Check 1,000
Only,
censorships.
Online.
Orange Tech,
People have no life.
Tech, technical school, and go to, I don't know about online though.
The UF. But is it per hard?
The PERT? It's algebra 1.
Oh, really?
It's like 8th grade math.
I know, I saw it, I was mad easy.
So when it says pi, is that supposed to be 5 or 6?
It's like how to get 97
Technically,
class.
5 is.
And
Oh,
I
5
was
is
off for like 20 minutes. I could've gotten. I know, they said I was eligible to take the next step.
So you want to do everything in one,
Yeah, so sine, yeah, all the words. You're gonna replicate exact same thing.
Why is there space between pi over 3 and pi over 2?
I wanted to do it, right?
Yeah.
So we kind of tricked Morocco. Wow. I mean, I went to go on vacation, but I was like, I'd rather just.
Let me see if you can make it.
That's what I told you.
Once you do it once though, so like once you get to like.
Good, it's gonna be same thing, yes. After 2 pi, you're gonna have to replicate exact same
You
thing.
want us to connect them?
Connect them, then connect dots. See how exciting is that?
I like dogs.
No, because
Well,
it
It's like
never
they're
looks
great.
pretty enough.
Go back to
It
the-
never looks pretty
You
enough.
know how like in the elementary school you connect the 1 to 2 to 3
Yes, that's my
to 4,
favorite
it's
thing
like-
ever. I saw a picture of somebody's leg that has a tattoo like that.
Giraffe.
Yeah, the giraffe. You know what I'm
A
talking
giraffe.
Yeah, okay.
about? A
We keep
giraffe.
going up
Like
the
when you
giraffe.
connect all the dots in a tattoo, it's a giraffe.
But send me that
See,
thing,
for me,
right?
I want to tattoo a unicircle.
I think you want to see the Oh, do
Mister, you really wanna do that?
Looked at you like,
Mister.
Should we keep going after 2 pi?
Yeah, just gonna repeat the same thing, so you're gonna learn how
I'm about
to.
to screw up these lines, I don't even.
Mister, would you really tattoo a unicircle?
Yeah, it's my bag. You wanna see it?
Yes.
You actually have it?
No, you
No,
serious?
don't.
That's serious, Tom.
Can you imagine?
Yes.
And all the Chinese people have like a dragon in the back, and we have a unicircle in
Let's
the
say if I
back.
get in a fight, takes off his jacket. What's on no bag? Unicircle.
Like, would you?
I'll be like, take it off, and like.
This is how you learn it. That's memorized.
It's like I can't see it.
Oh my god.
You don't
But
need to
since
see
it's so
because you
painful,
know.
I never memorize it.
Wow.
That's good.
Every points.
Are you like on pi over 6 yet?
Are you done with 0 yet? Trust me, I scared needle.
Oh my god.
Why is
I would never get a tattoo because it's too scared of needle.
Are you really?
I'm like the worst chicken person I can find. Like,
See, now we don't
if you
have
see me
sex with
squeal like a little girl, like it would be like that.
I love
I'm gonna
it.
bring a needle for me test.
Give me 100.
Literally, no.
I know, taking blood, I don't
You
mind.
look away, or just do it. And she doesn't, she never stares at me. I'm like, bro, what?
I just take that bit.
Blood, I don't mind.
Yo.
But like that shot's
That's
different.
what I'm
That's
saying.
beautiful. Now do the cosine graph.
Whoa, whoa.
Whoa.
Do the cosine. Now only pick a 5 point. You're gonna plug in 0 to cosine.
Right.
What happened cosine 0?
1,
Good. Pi over 2?
0.
Good. So you just only use the 5 points. on the cosine graph. And then you're gonna replicate the same thing, it's gonna be the same exact
Oh, on the
way,
same exact graph?
yeah, on the second one.
Oh, second.
Is it gonna be like inverted though? Like
It's gonna move a little bit.
Mhm.
It's gonna move pi over 2 over. So it's gonna move a little bit. You're gonna see it, I want you to guys see it.
What are we the same thing?
No, it's not same thing flip, because that's gonna be negative cosine.
Let's do this right.
Yeah, so once you finish, it's gonna look like this, it's pretty beautiful.
That line is
What?
I'm actually doing next word.
Damn, we're supposed to do all of these?
Next
Oh,
word.
wow, that's a nice line.
I know, right?
But the cosine one, which is the second graph, I want you to just only use this phi value. You're gonna plug in cosine, you're gonna plug in 0 into cosine, plug in pi over 2 into cosine, plug in pi into cosine. Now you're gonna draw a wave of motion throughout all of them. And you don't need to plug in all the points. Yes, that's nice.
Oh, it just keeps repeating.
It's keep on repeating, so it will repeat into 4 pi.
I'm proud.
Yep.
Some neat work for once.
It's kind of-
When I connect the line, but make it really ugly.
It's a new pair of connectors, so I can make it pretty.
Huh?
No.
Oh.
Let's see.
Were you scared?
Or go really light, I went really dark.
All right,
Don't worry
all
about it,
right,
don't worry about it.
all right.
Don't worry about it.
There's 2 pies on one
side. Oh,
I'm already messing it easy.
Yeah, you have to finish the whole thing.
Then I'm already-
On a side.
It's easier to go down.
Yeah.
3 pi, 1, 2, 3.
Pi over 2. Negative 1.
I remember.
3 pi over
Can't even
2.
connect the line right.
You just want to use those numbers?
Yeah, only 5 different values. We're gonna talk about what is the significance of this 5 values. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
So you guys supposed to do like this?
Okay.
This year's the same thing.
Almost like a V.
Okay.
Isn't it the same thing?
No, it's not the same thing. You look at it, cosine of 0 is what? No, cosine of 0 is not 0.
Oh,
Cosine
look
is
at
zero.
that. Oh.
Cosine of 0 is not 0.
Oh, you're right,
Mom,
you're right.
who wants to watch these videos?
That's it.
But,
That's
Why? Because the X, 0 degrees,
right.
0 radians.
Could have been playing basketball with us.
Yo, I hate your court.
That's what my grandma
It
does.
has trash players.
This walker really come in and they give her
It has trash players, and then you guys don't know how to shoot.
Walker's like,
The only good players are you.
Zero?
Yeah, because it's like 0 and 1.
He's
so bad.
I
I
just
don't know why he's always playing on drop him.
Because he wants to do it. Oh my god.
I'll get them all replaced. I'll replace him. Like, he would be good for rebounds, but he don't even move. He did a hinge and then his shot.
So 0.
But Jill was fine. He made like 4
Holy
shots.
shit, I fucked up.
Hey, watch out that.
yes, now it's nice. Do you see how sine graph and cosine graph is doing?
Huh?
What did I do?
Pi over 2.
It's not a straight line, guys. It's not a straight line. It's a curvy line. If it's a straight line, you have to plug in all the points. It's not a straight line.
Oh my god, these are so much more farther apart. How are you gonna connect them?
It's not a straight line. Cosine graph is not a straight line. You still have to form the same graph.
My graph is so ugly up there.
That's nice, Jeffrey. Okay, now cosine. What's cosine of 0?
One.
Cosine of 0 is not 0.
1.
I'm asking you why you.
I get
I'm
home.
trying to make them curved or make them feel.
Let me see the chart.
This one?
I can't even
That's nice. Now I want you to do cosine. What's cosine of 0?
Wait, it's not a
Guys,
line.
what's cosine of 0?
1.
So I'm gonna come here, give you creepy little rug. I don't know, I'm gonna walk with you to do one of these.
Appreciate that.
This is what it looks like?
And
Yeah.
then I'll wake up.
No, it's not a straight line.
Those are not straight lines, those are curves.
Where?
Right here, look.
Not bad.
Wow.
Curve right here.
Would you, what was it? It's like this?
That's what mine looks like, but then like it's curved.
It's not curved, you're wrong.
Yeah, that'd be a bit weird. I'd be like,
I just added a curve on the bottom.
I know, me too, I put it on curve right here.
Mister, is it right? Oh, God. Let me see yours.
I had to erase it because it said it's not a straight line.
Let me see.
Is this a straight line
Let
for
me
you,
see.
bro?
What does a curve of that look like?
I have no clue what it looks like.
Mister, this good?
It looks like you just added points to that graph.
And she said.
It really does.
What do you mean not a straight line? I don't get
It's gonna
that.
be the same thing.
He
It's gonna be
means not
something,
straight
but it's gonna be
line.
short right here. It's gonna be the same exact thing.
That's what this looks like.
But if you want to.
Yeah, but it's not a straight line. Look, you have a straight line. Does that mean it's a straight line?
Where?
It's a straight line because it's only.
This is curved right here.
Look, I would have the first part, I would have had like something like this, right? Yeah, use the corners. Use
That's like erase all of this, you know what? Perfect lines are perfect for you. You should probably get them in your paper.
No, you should.
That's what makes, I didn't see this now.
So this is all gone.
If you plug in every single point, it's not gonna be a straight line. Guys, you have to understand it's not a straight line.
I'm gonna move.
Yeah,
reading
that's what I'm
further.
saying, but if it's on those 5 minutes.
And like straight stuff.
Instead of Y, you're looking for X. That's not X, remember? Not Y.
Oh. You were right, Miriam.
I know.
Miriam. Miriam, you were right. Oh, extra curvature. Extra curvature.
It's quite different.
I know Jeffrey typed this. Jeffrey put like this. By
Okay.
shishing me in my baseball fan.
Now let's see.
You got fans?
I want to, that's not on my list.
You guys have a fan shirt?
No, it's M&M's every day.
Now let's maybe redo this.
How am I supposed to know what it is?
Jeffrey.
How do I
You don't need to do every point, just kind of.
Instead of looking for Y,
It's
you're
gonna be
looking
the
for
same
X.
exact thing.
Okay, so cosine of.
You want to go past
Not
this
bad,
line?
right?
What is it?
I don't get it.
It's a nice curve.
I'm out here, you get softened.
What?
That's a nice
What are you
curve.
laughing at?
He's like, little point right here, it's like, ooh.
Yes, that's beautiful.
Why does this look like
Like that?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Can I have my pencil back?
I will force.
Your eraser works.
No, it doesn't.
It does, I used it.
Are you bothered today? Then you pick me up.
It's not a straight line.
I don't know how to draw make a straight line.
Usually I'm drawn.
It's gonna be like.
Alright.
That's walking for the best.
Here you go.
There we go, looks like
You
that.
probably go back. Ask him for the paper, Audrey.
Yeah, that's nice, there we go, some type
The
of.
legs go up.
No.
You be cut.
It's not gonna
You
go.
don't understand.
Like this? Is this good enough?
Cause like,
Like
what I
this?
be doing, I be chilling, you know.
Yeah, that's nice.
No.
That's nice.
Do you have, how you?
And then they be like,
Wow.
If I do it, be like, alright, bye.
The cosine.
And now he gonna fight me.
You gonna get mad like
That's
that.
what I'm saying, is I don't want to.
You straight. Okay, cosine, come on.
What's the?
Yeah, you're really
Why?
quiet.
You're not doing it.
How do you do it?
Let the man. Can I get a marker, please?
What stupid babe is wrong?
Get the marker so you just keep it the same.
It's 1, 0, so
It's
the y
like,
is 0.
do you not see what
So now it's cosine, so it's 1. So you're gonna grab for 0, you're gonna grab 1.
That's your
No,
problem.
it's basically the
You're
opposite.
trying to.
So I'm starting off with square root of 0 with 2, right?
0, comma 1, so it's the x.
Right?
0, right?
But do you
Okay,
see?
so it'd be the square root of 3 over 2, and that's like the cosine 5 over 6 is the
Yeah,
Because
because
0,
you're only
pi
trying to
over
find
2,
the x,
pi
like,
over 5.
Yeah, pretty
And
much.
those are the
This
main
one
ones.
here?
Yeah.
So it'd be 0.
Yeah, mine is
one, and then
No.
So we only get those ones. No, we just
Like, just need those five.
Like I said,
All zero.
Pi over 2,
Oh.
the ones that are in squares.
I can press on.
That was
So
the
if
first
this
one.
makes
So now I got, so
Ah, yes. But you understand
Okay,
how it
then
works.
What's 3 pi? Is it 1?
what's the main one?
3 pi 1?
Looks like it lost a
Three
color.
pi over two.
Wait.
Zero, pi over two.
Okay.
Zero.
2 pi over 2, 3 pi over 2, 4 pi over 2.
Did you, why are you still using that marker?
Because I need a balance.
Yeah, but at least use your pencil first.
You're right.
Did you really start?
Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Chop this off.
No, that's
So-
bad.
I knew it.
I've been trying to be a.
It's not whole thing.
Yeah, don't even go at home.
It's
Yeah.
not, it's gonna go all the way here.
Wait, so we have pi is negative 1?
Use pencil.
We have the same question.
So here.
All my stuff is just
Use it, use the
You're getting it.
units.
What just
So it's
happened?
5 pi over 2
Yeah.
into cosine.
Huh?
Yeah, yeah, over here.
That or about
Zero.
Yeah, you're turning, she's turning 18.
I just turned 16.
What are you doing?
I'm ready to vote next round.
No, he's gonna have some food. I'll use all the
Bro, what you doing?
What is
Okay,
wrong?
stop.
That's kind of cooked.
Is it good for the flour or should it?
Daniel!
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know Noah? Noah, somebody got a
Of course, yeah.
That doesn't help with anything.
Well,
I don't know why
They start eating the flower.
He has like one invasive species.
My friend did that.
Hey, it's high on
Like
protein.
things that are not natural here, they just come in and
Flowers
they're
are-
like over.
Can you pick up your graph? You finish?
Can I get that for the water bottle?
I was like, what?
All right.
Wait, 2 pi.
So, if you realize cosine graph, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna go to cosine graph.
Jesus. I'm sorry, I can't. I was like,
Yeah. You know what it looks like? Looks like I got it.
Where's my blue one?
Maxwell plate.
Okay. Why it look like a straight line?
Doesn't this look like a?
What happened is, if I do the graph correctly, so I'm gonna use only 5 single value here to represent the whole thing. So, where's my mom?
yes. Your mom? You mean your mom?
Oh, right there.
It's the
One on
same
the
thing.
floor.
Your mom is
One
blocked.
on the, okay.
Negative.
There's one right there. There's still one right there. Doesn't care.
Hey.
Okay.
So yeah, there's one on the
There's
table.
one on the floor.
Oh, where?
Like right
All
there.
right. For me, I understand this. You might want to write this down because it's going to help you something later. So what happened is I will form this chart, and this chart is going to be something like this. So here's my chart. This is going to be something very helpful, okay? But we're going to form that chart in a second. But we'll start with y is equal to sine of theta, right? So we're going to pick 5 different values. So if theta y, what's the 5 value? 0. I'm going to get what? 0, right? And then if I do pi over 2, what is sine of pi over 2? It's on the top. It's 1. What happened to pi? 0. What happened to pi over 3? 3 pi over 2. 3 pi over 2 is going to be what? -1. And the 2 pi is going to be what? 0. So your graphs basically is going to start like this. Now I don't graph everything in there. I'm going to just show you the part of the graph, which is this one is going to be pi, and this one's going to be 2 pi. Are we okay here? And here's 1, here's -1. So the graph's going to go here, pi over 2 at the highest point. So pi over 2 is going to be right here. It's not a straight line, it's a curved line. It's a curved line. Okay, so 3 pi over 2. So it's going to be like this and like this. Okay, so that's my sine graph. Now what's cosine graph difference? Y equal to cosine graph. Cosine theta, so I'm going to have the same thing. Theta and what?
X.
y. 0,
One.
cosine theta. If I plug in 0, I'm gonna have what?
One.
1. Cosine of 0 is 1. A lot of people get this confused, even BC Calc student, AB students, same thing. Pi over 2 is gonna give me what?
0.
And how about pi?
Negative 1.
Thank you. What about 3 pi over 2?
0.
And how about 2 pi?
1.
1. So pretty much the graph's gonna be like this. I have a 0 here, and here's pi, here's 2 pi, and here it's gonna give you pi over 2, and here's 3 pi over 2. So the graph's gonna start at the top. So it's gonna be like this, and here it's gonna go to, see, it's gonna go from maximum to midline, midline go to minimum, minimum to the midline, and midline is gonna go up, and just gonna repeat again, like here, and keep on going. So that's how the graph is formed. Now, with that, knowing that, I'm gonna form a chart that's gonna be something that's very helpful. The chart's gonna look like this, and this is a chart like what you have to write down on your paper, on your notes. This is gonna be something very important. So important. Okay, so I'm gonna start with a mid. Mid is stand for midline. This is a midline. Did we talk about this yesterday?
Yes.
This is a midline. Did we talk about amplitude yesterday?
No.
Amplitude is the distance from midline to here, right? So this is the amplitude. And this is the amplitude. What else? We also talk about period. This is a period. There's another name for here is what? Peak or maximum, right? Or peak. A minimum or trough. Does that make sense? Did we talk about this yesterday?
Yes.
Okay, so now here's the things can happen. You start at mid. There's a max. And there's a min, right? So we're gonna form this chart right here. And this chart is gonna be something like this. If I have a positive sine graph, it's gonna start at a midline. Positive. If a negative sine graph, if I put a negative sign in front of it, what will happen? This bar is going like this way, right? It's going to reflect. So it start, if a negative sign, it's going to go down. So this is up, and this is down, right? Does that make sense? Now cosine usually start at the top. So it's at the top, and it's going to go down. And the negative cosine is going to be start on the bottom, it's going to go up. So remember, so bottom. So remember, this chart is something going to help you when you grab in sine and cosine later. Okay? Are we okay so far?
Can I take a picture?
What's the thing called?
Yes, you can take a picture of this if something can help you. Huh?
What's the line that goes from the peak to the midpoint?
This is called amplitude.
Amplitude.
Amplitude is how high from the midline to the maximum or midline to the minimum, the distance. Hold on, let me
Yo,
type.
why'd you zoom in like that?
Oh my god.
Yo, that's gross.
How do you do
No, why are you zooming in? Just get closer.
How to get on
The volleyball group chat is
Okay,
going
that's
on.
So what we're gonna do, we're gonna show you something cool. Here's the exciting lesson about this.
You studying it?
Yeah, someone hit the words.
Daniel,
Gonna do it next to the TV.
Alright then.
Ah, you were involved.
Daniel, what you doing?
Nice lesson. Was that right?
Okay, so what we're gonna do is I show you some exciting part about this lesson. This part is the most exciting part because you guys are actually gonna see what is the application of it. So we're gonna start with something that's easy. Guys, look at something like this. So we're gonna start with a sine graph. Look at this.
Minimum.
Do you see the triangles?
Oh, yeah, yeah, I saw it
I
there.
mean,
Yeah.
that's
Anything.
Looks like clear right
Oh
here.
my God, I see
What's
it.
this?
Do you see that unit circle is coming in play?
That's
Yeah.
why. And the triangle, so you can't be too much.
Oh, I get it, I get it, I get it.
I get it.
Whenever it hits like 11,
A-M-P-L-I.
Yep.
it's supposed to be.
Yep. See, they are coming from a circle.
When it hits 11/2.
They are coming from a circle. And guess what? This is a sine function. Do you see that sine function start at a midline? Go to maximum, go to midline, come back to minimum, and go back to midline, and go back up. Are you confusing?
No, it's not.
Now, what if I were to change this? What if I change the A to become negative?
Gonna be
What do you think if I change A to negative? What does it do?
It'll go down first.
You flip it, just like what that chart says. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And what if I increase that A? If I increase that A is instead of 1, I'm gonna change to 2. What does that do?
It's gonna go higher.
It's gonna go higher. Look at this. If I change to the A, what happened? The radius is gonna change, right?
to A to B. What is it? It's gonna be in the circle.
Yes, no longer a unit circle now, because this is not unit circle. This is actually 2 unit circle. The unit 2 circle, actually. But it's not unit 1. Unit is 1, right? So now it's unit 2 circle. But the height is gonna go up higher. Okay, now we're gonna go back down. We're gonna say, hey, let's go back to 1. I'm gonna show you something even cooler. I'm gonna say, how about if I change the sine to cosine? What does that do?
Let's see that.
Go sign on one.
Then start, if I change the sine function to cosine, what does that do? It starts from the top, good. So if I change it to cosine, boom, it's on the top. What if I change it to negative cosine?
It's from the bottom.
From negative?
And it starts from the bottom, good. So boom, it's on the bottom.
So satisfying when they touch.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah, that's true.
But this is not the cool part about mathematics. I'm going to show you even cooler part, where you can open up your mind like 360 degrees. David, wake up.
Yeah, but you can put my pencil on
I don't know anything you're recording.
You're recording.
And wake up, Andrew.
Thank you. You up? Just going to show you exciting part of the lesson. Okay.
Andrew.
So, do you see this graph? It's coming from a circle. But here's what's the cool thing about this. This is not the most exciting part. This is the most exciting part. I'm going to show you in a second. I'm talking very loud. It's because I'm very excited about it. Okay? I'm very, very excited about it. So, in college, there's a class. In college, a 4-year engineer course. There's a class at 4th year. At senior year, you're going to take this class called Fourier transform. Fourier transform is about right here, and we're going to show you in a second. It's going to teach you where's the unit circle connected to the sine graph and cosine graph in not 2 dimensions, but in 3 dimensions.
Wow.
Okay? In 3 dimensions. So, this will be really cool. If you are like kind of maybe high, but don't do that. So what happened here is going to show you how does unit circle come in really in play, and how does that affect the sine graph, cosine graph, and those are in detail. So this is a very like a monotone voice, but I trust you. You just need to get through the 3rd minute. But once you get through the 1st minute, you're going to start seeing something very interesting, different perspective. What I'm offering you is different perspective. So this is what this class can offer better than other class, because I like different perspectives. I enjoyed it. So I'm going to show you the 4th year in college course. This is what it's going to like.
We have an x-axis and a y-axis.
Correct.
Let us also create an axis that represents the angle theta.
Do you see that data changing? 1, 1.2.
The green line rotates by the angle theta.
Shut up.
Andrew, pay attention.
Sounds like chemistry.
No.
For each
Wait,
angle
just wait.
theta,
perspective.
represents the cosine of theta, and the y coordinate represents the sine of theta.
It's kinda cool, man.
Yo.
You know, I'm dizzy.
Yeah.
The angle theta can range anywhere between negative infinity and
Do you see the sine graph?
infinity.
Right now, not yet, not yet. The sine graph is right here, and I want to show you unit circle in like next 30 seconds. Now the sine graph right here, right? You see that's wave up and wave down, right? Now there's a unit circle, right? And it happened in 10 seconds.
3, 2, 1.
You said 10.
See the unit circle?
4, 3, 2.
And I'm gonna flatten,
Please don't.
and I'm gonna turn back again.
This two-dimensional pattern is what we refer to as a sine.
It kind of opened up your mind a lot more.
I'm so confused.
Okay, now what's cool is gonna see, like, think about those of you guys in medical academy class, and think about those medical academy, you do EKG. How many guys did EKG before in your thing? EKG?
Yeah, my
Like,
hypothesize it.
EKG has like a QR curve, I think, inside the Q section, there's an R section. And we're gonna show you a graph, looks very similar like that, but it's not exactly like, it looks kind of like a heartbeat, but it's not a heartbeat.
My brain hurts.
It's just Nick Flow.
Yes, I will. And you know how to get high.
No, I started seeing it from the graph and I was like.
Don't do
I
drugs.
just learned more
Okay,
about
don't do
it.
drugs.
That's not only because.
Yeah, but like, I think like crazy.
Oh my god. My eyes.
Every time someone talks to me, be like,
You can't just do that.
You said no, it's good. He doesn't allow me to do it.
I'm sure it's a good one.
Weren't you using the mic?
Oh, I forgot you have AirPods. You'll lock the throat.
I just don't know how to use them.
Wait for
Because I'm
me.
connected, but I don't get it rich now.
The ones on the left are.
I'm rich.
Oh, really? Everything's good? Okay, that's fine.